I hadn't been home in almost 8 months. College, work, internships. It all piled up until visits became a luxury. But that weekend, with nothing on the calendar and a quiet guilt nagging at me, I packed a duffel bag and caught a ride back to the house I used to call home. I expected the usual. Dad on the porch with his tablet, Mom fussing over dinner, the same creaky floorboards and dusty smell of the guest room. But I didn't expect to see her. Aunt Rachel? I blinked when I walked through the front door. She stood in the kitchen, barefoot, wearing a simple dark green tank top and soft, faded jeans. Her hair was pulled into a messy knot, a few strands hanging loose around her neck. She looked up from her cup of tea and smiled. "Well, well," she said. "Look who finally decided to visit." I laughed and stepped in for a hug, trying not to notice how warm she felt, how long she held me. When I pulled back, she looked me over like she was sizing me up. "You're taller," she said. "And that jawline, what the hell? When did that happen?" I shrugged, trying to laugh it off. "Puberty was kind." She tilted her head slightly. "Puberty was unfair. You're trouble now." And then she added, almost as an afterthought, "Don't tell your dad I said that." Over dinner, my parents caught me up on life back home. Dad still worked long hours. Mom was taking pottery classes now. But most of the talk drifted toward Rachel. "She's staying with us for a bit," Mom explained. "You heard about the divorce, right?" I nodded. I'd seen something in the family group chat a few months ago but didn't ask. Rachel waved her hand dismissively. "I'm fine. Needed a reset. Besides, your parents have better coffee than I do." I watched her laugh at one of Dad's jokes and felt that weird shift again, like I was seeing her through a different lens. Not as the woman who used to sneak me candy before dinner, but as someone else, someone magnetic. Later that night, I settled into my old bedroom. It hadn't changed much. Same posters on the wall, same creaky twin bed. I lay there staring at the ceiling fan spinning slowly, half listening to the quiet hum of the house. Something about being back made me feel small again, like time had rewound but not completely. Then came the knock. Soft, barely audible. Before I could sit up, the door creaked open. Rachel stepped in, backlit by the hallway light. She wore an oversized t-shirt that barely hit mid-thigh. Her legs were bare. She moved slowly, carefully, like she wasn't sure she should be here but couldn't help it. "Did I wake you?" she asked. I shook my head. "Not yet." She smiled, walked in, and sat at the edge of my bed. "I couldn't sleep," she said quietly. "Too many thoughts." "That ever happened to you?" "All the time." She sighed and looked around the room. "Still the same," she said. "You were always so neat, even as a kid. I guess I never grew out of it." She looked at me then, really looked. Her eyes were soft but intense. And then she asked, "Do you miss me?" It landed like a whisper and a weight all at once. I blinked. "What do you mean?" She smiled faintly. "You used to light up when I came over. You'd run down the hall yelling my name, show me your drawings, drag me to your room to tell me about dinosaurs or whatever you were into that week." I chuckled, embarrassed. "Yeah, I remember. You don't light up like that anymore," she said, her voice quieter now. "No one does." I looked at her. "Of course I miss you." She didn't respond right away, just sat there, fingers gently gripping the edge of the blanket. "I think I miss being missed," she said. Silence fell between us, thick and warm and filled with things neither of us wanted to say aloud. Her eyes dropped to my hands, resting on my stomach. Then they drifted back to mine. "You've changed," she said. "So have you." She laughed softly. "Touché." She stood slowly, her legs brushing the side of the bed as she moved. "I should let you sleep." But she didn't move right away. She looked down at me one last time, the hallway light casting soft shadows across her face. "I'm glad you came home," she said. "It's good to be seen again." Then she turned and walked out, leaving the door slightly open behind her. I lay there wide awake, listening to her footsteps fade into the hallway. The next morning was quieter than usual. Dad was already off to work, and Mom had gone to her Saturday yoga class. I came down the stairs half-dressed, expecting to find an empty kitchen. But Rachel was there, again. She stood at the stove, flipping pancakes in a faded band t-shirt and black leggings. Her hair was tied up, a few strands falling messily against her cheek. She glanced over her shoulder as I entered and smiled. "Morning, Trouble," she said, using the same teasing tone from the night before. "Morning," I said, rubbing the back of my neck, trying not to think about the way her voice sounded in the dark. "You want coffee or orange juice?" she asked. "Coffee." Good answer. She poured 2 mugs, slid one toward me, then leaned against the counter and sipped hers, watching me over the rim. "So," she began, "about last night." I froze mid-sip. "Yeah." She tilted her head. "I didn't mean to be weird or emotional. I've just been off lately." I set my cup down. "You weren't weird. I was glad you came in." She smiled at that, but something flickered behind her eyes, like hesitation wrapped in curiosity. "I meant what I said," she continued. "It's strange, feeling invisible in your own life. I used to have people around all the time. Now it's like I walk into rooms and no one really sees me." "I saw you," I said, my voice low. Her eyes met mine. "Yeah," she said. "You did." The rest of the day passed slowly. We barely saw Mom. She was out running errands and helping a neighbor with something. Rachel and I lingered in the living room longer than necessary, watching TV, pretending not to notice how close we were sitting on the couch. Her knee brushed mine more than once. Neither of us moved away. That night I tried going to bed early, but my mind wouldn't shut off. I thought about Rachel's voice in the dark, her hand wrapped around that coffee mug, the way she said, "You've changed." I wasn't imagining this tension. It was real, quiet but real. And then, like clockwork, I heard it. 3 soft taps. The door eased open. Rachel stepped inside. This time, no t-shirt, no leggings, just an oversized robe, loosely tied at the waist, her legs bare beneath it. She didn't ask if I was awake. She just walked in and sat at the edge of the bed, exactly like before. But something was different in the air. The way her eyes searched mine. The way she took a slow breath before speaking. "I don't really know what I'm doing," she whispered. "But I'm not here because I'm confused. I'm here because I trust you." My heart was pounding. She reached down, lightly touched my wrist. Her fingers were warm, steady. "You don't look at me like everyone else does," she said. "You never did." I swallowed hard. Maybe I'm just seeing what's really there. Her hand slid to mine. "I don't want to do anything wrong," she whispered. "But I also don't want to leave this house wondering what would have happened if I hadn't said anything." Silence. She leaned forward, slow, careful. Her forehead touched mine. My hand found her waist beneath the robe. I didn't kiss her, but I could have. We both could have. Her breath hovered against my lips. And then she pulled back, shaking her head, tears suddenly brimming in her eyes. I can't, she whispered, because if I kiss you, I won't stop. And I'm not sure either of us is ready for that. She stood up fast, tied her robe tighter, stepped toward the door. Before she opened it, she turned and looked at me with a shaky smile. You're a good man, she said. Too good to lose to a mistake I'd never forgive myself for. And then she left. In the morning, she was gone. Her room was cleaned out, the bed made. No note, no explanation, just a text hours later that said, "Tell your parents thanks for everything. I needed the break. And thank you for seeing me." I never replied. I didn't know what to say, but I still remember the way her voice broke when she said, "If I kiss you, I won't stop." Sometimes, I wish I had kissed her anyway. And other times, I think she was right to leave before we did something that would never fade. Because some lines aren't meant to be crossed. But once you stand at the edge of one, you're never quite the same again.